Kicking off our list of absent-minded outlaws is footage shot in July 2017. In the video, a bunch of brain-dead burglars in South Africa's Western Cape attempt to stuff a hefty safe into the tiny trunk of their getaway vehicle. Footage from early in the attempt shows the stupid squad approaching a BP gas station complete with loaded guns, instructing staff to direct them to the safe. After clumsily taking an eternity to unearth their cargo, they eventually manage to do so. They then round up some store employees to help them load the safe into the back of their car. This is where their plan falls apart. Not accounting for the laws of space, gravity, or common sense, they cross their fingers and hope that the precariously placed safe will politely stay put during their drive home. Unfortunately for them, the heavy haul doesn't want to play ball. The CCTV footage ends here, leaving the fate of the criminals unknown. We don't know whether they tried again or if they were caught. Quite how they so wildly miscalculated the tiny dimensions of their trunk also remains a mystery. As all experienced criminals know, when burgling, the first port of call is to gain entry. This exact thought was on the mind of our next robber, who tore through the window of a garage in order to gain access. In the footage, he first realizes that the side door is locked, leaving him to move on to the window. Heaving and hauling in his hooded outfit, he eventually manages to pull off the window and clamber through. After a few seconds inside, he then realizes what CCTV footage has shown all along. The garage is doorless. It literally has no door. Upon realizing his mistake, he exits through the empty garage via this more easy and accessible route. After leaving with no haul and no dignity, the robber tries to open the side door once more. Surprisingly, it remains locked. The location of the crime is unknown, as is the fate of the dozy delinquent. A drug dealer, presumably proud of his ill-gotten gains, took to Facebook Live to brag about his bales of cash. In the footage, Breon Hollings uses his stream to repeatedly show viewers his bundles of bucks, repeatedly uttering the illogical phrase, "Don't stop, man."
Ah, man, R2 bro, man. Hey, what time cut up on my shit. Y'all already know the story, man. Get you some money, now you gonna forever be broke out here, man. You hear me? I gonna forever be broke out here, man. Straight up, man. Catch up, man. You need to catch up, man. This don't stop, man. This don't stop, man. Hold on, man. Hold on, man. This don't stop, man. This don't stop. Hold on.
The video also includes a bunch of other words and phrases deemed undecipherable by his wannabe gangster accent. The 22-year-old Jacksonville doofus was known to police for a number of offenses and was clearly on their radar. During the stream, officers enter his home/trap house. One is heard saying, "Open the door, give yourself up," prompting the dozy dealer to walk out of the room. The video then shows police officers walking through Hollings' home and searching for drugs and evidence.
I'm stubborn, y'all keep pushing. Go ahead. What? Hey, we got him from here. Bring him out. I got him? Okay. You're inside, so you give me a double check on this. Before. Check this room.
According to officers, the live video did not lead to the pre-planned raid, but it doesn't help that Hollings holds a reputation for being a big-mouth braggart. He has a history of posting pictures online of himself holding guns and wads of cash. In the raid, which occurred in June 2017, officers found drugs, drug paraphernalia, and a handgun. Hollings, who is an aspiring rapper, allegedly already had convictions for drug charges, trespassing, violence, and child abuse. He was charged for possession of drugs and possessing paraphernalia relating to the potential delivery of drugs. I guess this does indeed stop. In March 2017, a not-so-smart thief made his way to a Washington, D.C. 7-Eleven to embark upon a big, bold robbery. Determined to demand a fat old wad of cash, he packed his kit, including a gun and a ski mask, handily appropriate for hiding his face. As all offenders know, masks offer a foolproof way of keeping yourself anonymous. They're even easy to use. All you have to do is pull it down over your villainous visage. That's where this guy went wrong. Instead of wearing the mask over his face, he leaves it sitting on the top of his head, revealing his identity to the cashier and CCTV cameras. Halfway through his botched attempt, he seems to realize his mistake, pulling the mask over his foolish features. The fate of the unmasked villain is currently unknown, though it's hard to imagine that police struggle to find him. As our previous entry was sort of aware, a disguise is an important part of a regular robber's wardrobe. But when planning how to mask your criminal countenance, it's a good idea to opt for something unassuming and anonymous. This guy hadn't figured that out when he robbed a bank wearing an outrageously garish getup. Instead of covering his face, he instead plopped on a woman's wig, slipped into some clown pants, and stuffed fake breasts under his sweater. He also armed himself with a toy BB gun which he stole from a local Kmart store. With his gun, ensemble, and mismatching beard, he was ready to rock. Setting off on his July 2010 heist, he then entered a bank and drew his weapon on the teller. Successfully managing to haggle a haul, he fled the bank with an undisclosed amount of money. Not content with 2 robberies in one day, he then attempted to steal a woman's car, forcing her out of the vehicle so he could sit inside and count his cash. Unluckily for him, the money came with a dye pack and had already exploded, leaving his banknotes covered in a reddish hue. Police arrived at the scene to find him still sitting comfortably in his brand new ride. He was later charged with multiple counts, including, unsurprisingly, bank robbery. Chief Gebert, one of the officers at Allegheny County Jail where the wigged warrior was taken, told reporters, quote, "He'd be my candidate for America's dumbest criminal." Before being sentenced, the man was being held for $230,000 bail. After throwing a rock at another man's head, a suspect ran away from officers in an attempt at fleeing from the scene of the crime. Sadly for him, he was pursued by police along with their trusty tracking dog. The footage, shot in April 2017 by Fox News, then shows the man separated from the police only by a short fence. After giving himself up, officers ask him to climb over the fence and into their cuffs. In his attempt at clambering over the modest barrier, he snags his pants on a railing, ending up literally caught by the seat of his pants.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Stop!
After performing an impressive hovering act for a few moments, the bandit is assisted by a bemused and uncertain officer who is unsure whether or not it's all an elaborate ruse. It soon becomes clear that it's not, and the trapped man is just as dumb as everyone else on this list.
Ow! Are you serious?
As the footage ends, the man is left lying on the ground. The unnamed man was arrested on charges of assault with a dangerous weapon. His fate remains unknown, as does the destiny of his perforated pants. We've all seen action films where daring do-badders descend from the ceiling to stylishly swoop upon their chosen swag. This March 2016 CCTV footage shows a man, inspired by the stars of the silver screen, who ends up inadvertently suspended after crashing through the ceiling of a Brisbane computer store. But his misfortune doesn't end there. As the dangling daredevil hangs in the air from his very own entry rope, an alarm begins to sound, prompting the culprit to wriggle loose. He then jumps off a table, unaware that the rope is still attached to his foot. Realizing that the descent has stripped him of his shoe, he retrieves the footwear before proceeding to do what he's here for, steal some computers. What he doesn't realize is that they're all connected to the tables by wire, making them impossible to pull free. Swallowing his pride and realizing his fate, it's then time for him to make an escape. But since the doors are barred and locked, he has no choice but to leave the way he entered, via his DIY hole in the ceiling. Leaving behind a sock for forensics to investigate, he makes his escape empty-handed. After leaving behind a trail of mishaps and mindlessness, he'll probably not be attempting any robberies again. His fate remains unknown. Unlucky man John Caltabiano was left unable to see after a workplace accident, so was unfortunately forced to claim disability benefits. In written applications, he claimed that his disability causes him to, quote, sit in the dark and listen to TV, adding, I can't move around the house much because I bump into things and hurt myself. In recorded footage, the New York man is led arm in arm by his girlfriend to a disability hearing. During the hearing, he made the case for why he was fairly entitled to a hefty sum of state benefits. However, another video shot a few days earlier shows the sunglasses-clad Caltabiano reading a poster outside of a convenience store. Quite why a blind man would need sunglasses or be able to read becomes less of a mystery as the video continues. We see him opening a store door for another shopper, and even driving a car. Later investigations showed that Caltabiano was in fact blind in only one eye and thoroughly able to function on a daily basis. Needless to say, his benefits claim was halted. Had he never been snagged by investigators, Caltabiano would have allegedly scooped up a bumper prize of $1.3 million over his lifetime. He was sentenced to almost 5 years in prison, while his girlfriend was sentenced to 3 years of probation for her assistance in the fraud. Bet he didn't see that coming. In this video, a disgruntled employee in Shanghai entered a police station to allegedly lodge a grievance about his recruitment agency. After being understandably turned away, he decided to make up for his perceived losses by sneakily stealing an officer's cell phone, covertly hiding the item in his pocket. The video shows the daft deviant unplugging the phone from its charger on the desk and attempting to leave the building. Shot in October of 2016, he then attempts to depart the station before finding the office door locked. When he realizes his inability to make a sneaky getaway, the man decides to less than surreptitiously throw the cell phone onto a nearby couch. When officers returned, he was arrested for the theft. While being interviewed by reporters, the half-brained man claimed, quote, I just feel bad that they didn't take my complaint seriously, so I took the cell phone to sell it and make myself feel better. He also confessed that office life is not for him, claiming that he plans to return to farming work. Hopefully, there'll be no expensive gadgets lying around unattended. Most criminals steal money, jewelry, or precious diamonds, even cars, gadgets, and gizmos. This kooky criminal is a little different. The UK man, who entered a homeware store in October 2016, apparently possessed an insatiable thirst for a Venetian blind. But instead of paying for it, he decided to stuff the item under his coat. CCTV footage from the in-store elevator shows the robber attempting to maneuver the goods around in his clothes, cramming the blind down his trouser leg and pushing it up into his hood. Staff were, unsurprisingly, aware of his actions and tailed the man as he made his way out of the store. The less than intelligent offender then dropped the loot near a canal before making his escape. Venetian blinds are neither extravagant nor expensive, making us wonder why the man was so keen to stuff one down his pants. Thanks for watching. Please leave a rating and subscribe to see more videos like this. Also, please remember to click the bell icon to ensure that you never miss an upload from us.